Less is definitely more, and today's simple yet sophisticated watercolor eucalyptus card is a perfect example of that. So join me as we paint this card two different ways. Hey guys, welcome back and thank you for joining me today. My name is Shayda Campbell and I just wanted to remind you that you can grab this card printable if you would like to print my eucalyptus card. All the channel bonus content is available on Patreon for just $2 a month. All right, I'll give you a quick rundown of my supplies today. I am using 140-pound cold-pressed watercolor paper from Canson. And then I am using some blank greeting cards. I just buy these in packs of 6 at the dollar store. But you can also get watercolor greeting cards that you could paint right on. What we'll do is cut out a piece of paper and paste it on the blank card. I've got a palette, I've got clean water, a paper towel for blotting, and then I've got some brushes, just a couple different sizes of brushes. The brushes are not super important since this is a very loose painting. And then for paints, I am using some Cotman Series Winsor & Newton tube watercolors or paste watercolors. Okay, so what I'm gonna do first is trace my little card onto the 9x12 sheets of watercolor paper. And that'll give me 2 areas to work on. And then I'm mixing up some colors of green. So I am just starting with sap green and hooker's green and an emerald green and a little bit of purple and maybe some gray. And I'm just gonna mix up a few different colors, mix in lots of water. I like to mix a little purple in. It gives this very gray, cool, murky green, I guess. And I like that for eucalyptus. Once those colors are mixed up, I'm going to take them in this brush. This is a number 8 round. And the first eucalyptus is very loose and it's very experimental. And if you kind of have an idea of the shape of eucalyptus where the leaves get smaller towards the top of those stems, you're just making a puddle of paint, of color that you'll be able to draw a eucalyptus plant over top of later. So you can have fun, you can lay down some really watery paint or some really pigmented paint. You can drop more paint into that puddle wet area. You can do some leaf type shapes. You can use a dry brush and pick up some of the paint that's there to get that variation of color. So this is really experimental and loose. And if you're not comfortable with watercolors, this is a great card to create because it's easy, it's gonna look good, and you're not gonna mess it up. There's no messing that one up. And we'll let that one dry as we start on the second one, which is a little more detailed, but still really fun and approachable. And I just start with kind of a Y shape for the stem, but you could just do one sprig, one stem. And then you do these pairs of leaves, and it's really just a stroke of the brush, very perfectly imperfect, very loose. Loose is better. That's where you're gonna get that nice sort of color variation in the paint if you just don't use the brush too much. There can be, these pairs of leaves can be a little bit offset. One leaf might go right in front of the stem, the other one might be behind, so, or coming out in front. So just use the belly of the brush, drag it across the page once or twice, and just really loose, really fun, whichever card design you choose to do, or if you're gonna do both. I think both of them are just sort of fun watercolor practice and brushwork practice. But you get this really pretty card at the end, and actually you could create like 10 of these in no time at all and really practice, and then you'd have this pretty sophisticated eucalyptus card anytime you needed a little thoughtful blank card. Anyways, as I continue here, I decided to do one more little stem going off to the side, just to give it that sort of unbalanced look that eucalyptus has and that touch of whimsy. Doing a couple more pairs of leaves there and kind of working a bunch of leaves together towards the bottoms of the stems. And yeah, that's almost it for this one. Maybe this one in some ways was even easier than the watercolor sploosh, the big puddle, because you are just doing the stems and pairs of leaves. So try them both. They're both sort of fun and very approachable, as I said, in their own way. To finish the painting portion of this, I like to add some little dots to make it look like the paint got splashed. And then of course for the first one, you could add a little more color. But we're gonna let those dry completely. And while we do that, let's talk about how to draw eucalyptus. So you start with a stem. It could be 2 stems, it could be 3, and it's, you know, totally up to you what shape you make them. And then again, just pairs of leaves. They get larger as you go down the stem, and you can put one coming right in front of the stem. I think that looks nice, and you can do that sort of every once in a while for a little bit of unbalance and to make it look more realistic. But yeah, eucalyptus is a really fun one to draw and illustrate. It's, I made that one a little too big there, but just basically those pairs of leaves, and you can add as many stems as you like and keep sort of branching out and fill in as much space as you need to. So yeah, I think I'm happy with that. That looks quite cute. And that's exactly what we're gonna do over top of our painted eucalyptus, is to illustrate some. So once that has dried completely, that was about, gosh, maybe 40 minutes. I'm gonna take my Pigma Micron. This is the 05 nib, which I really like for going over top of watercolors because it is a little bit thicker. And I am just going to do those pairs of leaves. Some maybe of leaves are in front of the stem, just that's a nice thing to remember. Just looks like a real plant. Some of the leaves might be coming towards the viewer a little bit, while others are receding and look very thin and are tucked in behind. But yeah, and you could do that in pencil and then go over it in pen and then just lightly erase, but it's as simple as that. And then for this big crazy splash of watercolor paint that I have on the first one, I am going to use a bit of a thicker marker here, or brush pen, because I really want the pen to stand up to sort of the dark splotchiness of the paint. But I am doing a similar illustration, maybe a little looser, and just adding that illustrative sketchy black line that I love so much. And I think both of those were really successful, very easy to create. As I said, you could do a whole batch of these for your stationery drawer. Well guys, thank you so much for watching today's video. Make sure to subscribe to my channel and turn on the notifications if you want to see more like this, and I will see you soon with a new tutorial.